So saying one of these scenarios does actually happen.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, how do we do it? How do we actually get out of here? And where would we go?
Yeah, I guess you need to sort of think about that in terms of like different time points in a way, because like those things are going to be determined by how long you have as a lead time in knowing, and at what point in your development you are.
Yes, yeah, also a very good point.
So if it's like right now, we might have to use what we've got kind of thing, and we get a very short lead time.
Yeah.
If it's much further in the future.
You mean the event? We find out now that an event is going to happen, like way in the future.
Yeah. Then you've got a potential technology. You don't know what changes in technology you might have.
Yeah.
So there's kind of two scenarios there.
Definitely.
You have a short lead time or not particularly long, and that you end up having time to you have time to plan, one you have no time to plan, but you end up using recognizable technology.
Yeah.
And one in which you have no time to plan, but it happens at a time when there's like ridiculous. We don't know what sorts of technology. We can just speculate about that.
Yeah.
And also the best scenario being it happens in a highly technologically advanced time, and we get a long lead time as well.
Yeah. That's the best case scenario.
That's the best case scenario, and actually maybe that's more likely.
It might be the most likely scenario. Actually,
more likely in the sense that
just statistically likely.
Yeah, and also in the sense that of those two future scenarios, when we've got a very good technology, the chances that we would know about something long time before might be much higher than not knowing about it.
A very good point, yeah.
So if we consider that first one then...
So like short lead time happening relatively soon, basically in our current like state of development.
Yeah.
And like a lead time of like, I don't know, like...
Well, anything from now...
Anything from like almost instantaneous, like days.
Yeah, to like 50 years.
Yeah, okay, 50 years, yeah. That's still hardly anything really on the grand scheme of thing.
Yeah. So we'd obviously in the if it happens instantly, would we even try to in any scenario be able to do anything?
I mean, it's really hard to imagine. It would require such like a massive cooperation effort over the whole world that if it's literally like days away or weeks away or something, then maybe not.
Yeah,
maybe you just sort of get as many people as possible, whatever the event's going to be, get as many people as possible like into like a bunker or something that already exists, and just like hope everything's going to be fine.
Yeah. Because
like building a ship or something to take people away is not something you can do in a few days or weeks.
No, and you think about all the conventional technology we have. Sure, we've got like capabilities to get people into orbit, but like you've got to build something that's going to then, well, I mean, it depends what the event is, because if it's something that's going to like wipe out the solar system as well, then like we haven't got anything that we're basically screwed.
We're basically screwed.
You're not going to be able to build like a generational ship in like a short period of time, or use any of the conventional technology we have at the moment to create something like that. We'd have to spend years of development.
But say we have like, as you said, 50 years or even less, but like say on the order of like 10 to 20 years or something like that, in that kind of range.
Yeah.
Where it is feasible to develop. Missions can get developed on that kind of timescales.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
and there's a totally different imperative here.
Totally different imperative, and the whole world, you'd think the whole world would just cooperate together. Largely,
most of the powerful nations would have to, and would probably.
Yeah.
They'd band together they do that, for scientific research now. So the chances that, in order to save the whole of humanity, and like the leaders themselves are thinking about saving themselves, etc., everything leads to...
There's like a definite personal risk to everybody.
Yes.
Right? So like even the most powerful people who are insulated from all the current world problems are going to be like, shit, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
So everyone's going to have a really, really good reason to be sorting it out.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're just... all of the resources is just going to get piled into it, surely. Everything else is just going to be insignificant in terms of importance. Yes. Compared to like saving as many people as possible.
But in that period of time, so we're thinking about how we would do it and where would we go.
Yeah.
You say like we'd pile resources into trying to create something in which we would... So considering a scenario where the solar system isn't screwed, or the solar system is screwed.
Sure.
One of which we would do the obvious thing is to try and move to like Mars or something.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's probably it.
And that would, obviously require lots of effort. And we'll talk about the moral issues in a bit, but obviously you might not be able to move everyone, you might be able to move a lot of people or whatever.
I mean, moving everybody is going to be essentially impossible, I think.
Probably. And people won't want to leave, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. The people who would choose to stay for sure, even though they're doomed like to a fiery death or whatever it is. What scenario it's going to be?
Yeah.
So how many people we could take is going to be massively dependent on how much warning we have, probably. So if we have like something like 10 to 20 years or 50 years or less
and
warning,
it's also dependent on whether the solar system's screwed.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So if the solar system's screwed and we've got that period of time,
you could start ferrying people to Mars.
If the solar system's not screwed, yeah.
Sorry, if the solar system's not screwed,
you could start like seriously considering setting up a colony on Mars and getting a number of people in order to save like the human race essentially, and send them with like loads of genetic diversity, like embryos to transplant and things, so you don't have like your, inbreeding problem and sort of stuff like that.
Yeah. But it would be like, like Elon Musk's vision of having like a city of 1 million people or whatever on Mars. We would have to make that happen.
Yeah.
Like as soon as possible.
Yes.
Everything would.
This is assuming that whatever the Earth ends up being is going to be way worse than what we end up going to on Mars.
Yeah, and that would have to be really bad because Mars is not a fun place to live.
Yeah. As we said, there's not many scenarios, but sure, we're considering it under that pretense.
But say the solar system is screwed.
Yeah.
And we can't. Going to Mars is just not an option because we'd be just as fucked. Like what would we do? Like,
well, we've got let's say we've got 50 years. Okay.
Yeah. Scary thought, isn't it? Imagine that. Imagine just like how.
Well, actually, just thinking in the quick scenario, the Earth's screwed. Whatever. There is like we might send off something like you said earlier about sending like just some embryos out or something like that, like a life raft. Just like, is there any way we can preserve anything we've ever done, or and make all that time and effort and evolution and lives and etc. not meaningless? Is there any last like little like kind of the last grasp attempt at just making that, just keeping it going potentially?
It's sort of like the Noah situation. You build an ark and you put into it as much of the biosphere as you can. Well, like
no, I'm talking about when you've got no lead time and you've just got like a conventional. You've got a lead time of like 3 months, like or whatever.
Yeah, okay, but you
can't save anyone, is what I'm saying. But you can just
yeah, okay.
So you just put out like some.
You just put out a probe with some
either information on
and
it
some
or
seeds maybe and stuff like that.
Like a time.
I mean,
capsule.
that's almost a grasp of nothing, really.
Yeah, but do you think people would do that?
I don't know.
Do you think we're too busy to sort of just thinking, shit, we've got to save ourselves, but we might not, probably wouldn't be able to in whatever scenario this is?
I think there would be a push to do that. I do.
Some people.
Yeah, I think it might happen because you could.
You've got to organise a launch and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but there's plenty of launches organised all the time, and
you just like scrap the satellites.
Yeah, exactly. You convert something that was originally going to be some mission to the outer solar system or something into that probe.
And you just
quickly, and you just rush it, and you launch it as you would normally.
Well, you've got that whole problem of like, do you just launch it out of the solar system? Do you just launch it? You've got to launch it somewhere. You don't want to launch it around an orbit in which it's going to degrade and then just like crash into Jupiter.
No, it would have to have enough velocity to get out of the solar system.
Yeah,
it would have to. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah,
if the solar system's screwed,
you might. So in shorter periods of time, it might be very difficult to redesign something to do that. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe
not. Anyway, say you've got enough time to do that. Then perhaps they say a year or something.
Yeah.
Then maybe you'd be able to do that.
But if you had 50 years, you could plausibly build a spacecraft that had a living crew, but also like a shitload of embryos and a shitload of like seeds and whatever like aspects of the biosphere you would want to try and just like a giant like floating like archive of the Earth.
Yes.
With also like
some people
and massive amounts of information.
So this is 50 years
scientific information.
This is 50 years assuming that the solar system's messed up.
Yeah. Is that a better? Yeah. So what's a more important endeavor, like trying to rescue as many people as possible, or trying to like secure the survival of humanity and the biosphere as efficiently as possible? Those two things might not be the same thing. Because building a ship that keeps a few people alive. Maybe, but maybe not. No, not so much. No, it's still like a functionally how you go about doing it.
Yeah, because you've got to put your effort into one of the things, but that's a choice. That's like a moral dilemma.
Yeah, sure. It is, yeah.
To be honest, it probably wouldn't be that different, because you're probably going to say you send X number of people.
Yeah.
Like to send also some like frozen seeds and frozen whatevers. It's just going to be like cargo essentially. Like it's maybe not going to be.
Yeah, that's true.
That difficult.
That's true, but it's a lot
easier.
Embryos
you need to do anyway for people. It would be it's extra effort, but the thing is, like, most of humanity's not going on this thing, so all of everyone's effort can be put into it.
Yeah,
it's upmass that you've got to you're sacrificing basically.
Yeah.
But you've got to sacrifice a lot of that in terms of consumables. You want to probably grow stuff on board and whatnot anyway, so you're going to have to take some of the biosphere anyway. In that sense, taking like X number of like 1,000 seeds or something from different plants around the world, 1,000 embryos from different animals around the world is going to take up not that much space.
That's true. But taking a lot of people will take up a lot of space, and it might be that we just decide that we can't do that, and we focus on a small crew.
Yes.
And as much of this other stuff as possible.
Yeah. And that's their burden. They just have to go
out
knowing that they're leaving.
Everybody else is going to die.
Yeah. That's
which we'll come back to.
And so how would we do that? Is like, we've got, say, 50 years, but things like crazy ideas that you sort of seem crazy, but we think about Project Orion coming back on. It's just like, screw the atmosphere. Doesn't matter if we nuke and irradiate everything. This is the quickest, most efficient way to get ourselves out of velocity.
Get a large amount of mass up.
Yeah, and where would they go as well? Is another question. We have 50 years to be trying to find a place in which, in the solar system, in which they could go to.
In the solar system,
not in the solar system. Outside the solar system, an exoplanet.
Yeah, and there's sort of two. I think there's two scenarios. Either but you find somewhere, which is possibly not going to happen in 50 years. You might not have. Actually, having said that, there would likely be like a prime, like a first choice location to aim for. I would have thought so. You out of the whole suite of Kepler data exoplanets, you just choose the one that looks the most like Earth and just go there. Maybe aim towards it.
You probably would. Yeah.
Better than just literally going off and shooting
nowhere.
In the dark.
Exactly. So you'd pick whatever data you've got on exoplanets at the moment, the most likely habitable planet that you could potentially, and you would know things about its size and stuff, and estimates on its atmosphere. In 50 years' time, you'd spend a lot of effort trying to build something that would be able to kind of define those things in exoplanets of a certain distance and size. So you would be able to do things like try and calculate how you might re-enter into its atmosphere and stuff.
Yeah. But these kind of
things... James Webb's launching whatever time. Chances are we might know its composition of its atmosphere somewhat.
That's true.
Things. So we might understand that there is... You definitely aim for an exoplanet in that situation. You had 50 years... and you had one crew, you'd just go to somewhere. This is our best chance. This is the best thing we know about. Let's just fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, or the other option is you try and build something that it survives indefinitely in interstellar space. But then that might be not possible in 50 years' time with 50 years of technology development.
Yeah, that's true.
And the motive behind that as well is trying to save the human species, not trying to save your own skin in a way. So that the development speed might not be as fast because it's kind of like an altruistic thing that we would be like, we're going to die, we're sacrificing ourselves, but we need to get this memory of us out. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not quite sure how people's motivations would work for that. I feel like it would be generally quite good, but it might not be as fast as you would think. You might not be able to build so much crazy stuff in 50 years as you might expect with that under that pretense, because people will be distracted by. Yeah,
that's very true.
By trying to get everything in order and
and maybe living people would place more importance on saving their own lives over
trying to come up with a way, even if it was under a scenario in which we probably know it's highly impossible that we're going to survive it at all, coming up of a way of trying to save themselves. If the whole of the Earth's going to be destroyed or whatever, like a neutron star's coming in or whatever, and it's going to just ruin the whole solar system.
Yeah.
That they can live underground or whatever, even under the pretense, even though that's never going to work, and we know that the Earth's going to be slung off
There'll be plenty
into
of people
the depths of the Oort cloud or whatever, then there'll be plenty of people still trying to think of a way how we could potentially sort ourselves out.
And probably a massive contingent of people will place their bets on that method.
Yeah.
Rather than decide to get in a ship going to God knows where.
I just mean that the focus of governments and big projects might be to try and run the Earth under a scenario in which it's impossible. We think it's probably impossible, and it ends up being impossible to survive.
Yeah.
But under the hope that we'll find a solution.
Yeah.
Before it's too late, rather than just accepting that we're going to die and putting all our effort into getting something to continue what we've done.
Yeah.
In some small way.
Yeah. Facing that.
Maybe both.
Facing that reality is a pretty sort of dark prospect for everyone alive now.
Quickly in that tangent, if the Earth got slung off to like Pluto type orbits, would if at a certain point in our technological development, we would probably not. Would we be able to survive that? Possibly.
Yeah, we probably would.
But like we're under the pretense that it's recognizable, it's still recognizable that we might be able to survive that.
Yeah, I mean, in the same way that we discuss going and colonizing various planets that have conditions like icy moons or like Mars or something, then why would we not be able to just use that same technology and those same designs to just survive on Earth?
Yeah. Okay. So but then again, so we can consider another scenario then where there's just like it's going to be like the late heavy bombardment or something. The Earth's just going to get like just smashed to pieces by loads of stuff,
which plausibly could happen if the solar system.
And people might think
perturbed.
We could maybe like deep bomb shelters or things, but chances are it's going to get like,
or even we're just going to fall into the sun.
Yes, or something.
Or something just ridiculous.
Or
like that.
Sucked into the neutron star or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's no getting away from that.
No.
So that's we would definitely yes. So under that scenario, governments wouldn't even have the option of trying to hunker down and build like a base underground or something. They'd have to think. They'd either have to be like, okay, so do we try and save as many people as possible, or do we try and secure like survival of the human species and the biosphere?
Yeah.
Those two things possibly aren't like either
mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
No. But so that would I think that's kind of. Under the scenario there, you would just try and send something to an exoplanet with some people on it.
Yeah.
And hope and have some either try and go to the kind of put people in kind of cryogenic states or whatever to then reawaken or
have a multi-generational ship.
Yes, because it's going to take a long.
It's going to take a long time. Well, I mean,
we're talking about 50 years, so chances are we're not
conventional technology.
Conventional technology is going to be
some of that like Project Orion stuff. Oh no, the Daedalus thing could get pretty significantly close to the speed of light.
Yeah,
right? It was like 90-something %, wasn't it? Was that
no,
right?
that's the antimatter one.
Oh yeah, okay. That's sci-fi.
But say like 12% speed of light, which is possibly things like Orion and stuff could do.
Yeah, still going to need multi-generational stuff. Oh wait, no, because of time dilation.
Yeah, but 12% at 12% speed of light. I don't know exactly what the point of what. I don't know how that curve works.
Yeah, sure. And you don't know what you're going to find when you get there, which is the most important thing. So you're going to need this, whatever it is, this ship to be capable of just being indefinitely support life, support humans. It can't have like a shelf life.
Is it possible to? Yeah, I guess you'd have to just put your effort into building something that is self-sufficient and has enough materials on it to repair and sort itself out and
is that
whatever.
Doable in 50 years?
Maybe not. Maybe it would need 100 years or something.
You just need to be recycling everything, all the gases and atmospheres, all the waste products need to be recycled back into like food, and you need to be, the whole thing has to be perfect, basically, the way it functions, the way it recycles stuff. Although you can't have any like finite resource that you're worried about running out of.
Yeah, that you got to regenerate everything.
Yeah,
it's almost like everything's got to come from. It's almost like electricity, because you could solar panels for indefinitely potentially.
Yeah.
Because solar panels don't break.
Maybe
or a reactor that lasts like 1,000 years or something, like a specific type of nuclear reactor.
Maybe you'd use
like a fusion or something.
You could use like a finite resource like fuel propellant to get yourself up to speed. You obviously need the equivalent amount to slow yourself down again, though. That's the problem. So you'd always have to be like working on a rule of halves with that. But everything else, you'd need to just be a closed loop, to have everything being recycled, because you never know if you're going to ever make it somewhere else. You're always forever trapped inside this craft.
So maybe there's no hope in those scenarios particularly, but you would still try and do something. So like, what if we have a very long lead time? Okay.
So the event, whatever it's going to be, is going to happen in like a lot, like 1,000 years
or 100,000 years,
100,000
or whatever.
Years.
Yeah,
a crazy amount of time.
Then we've got, obviously, we can only talk about this in terms of we don't know what technology is going to happen, and singularity and all this kind of whatever stuff that we can speculate on. But
it gets quite hard to like, your imagination is just sort of like the only
almost limit the limit. But there's still like some considerations you would need to make in terms of where you would go and stuff like that.
Sure.
So if we had a very long time, we would be able to move a lot more of the human population off the Earth. So what you're trying to do, I guess, would be to construct like some sort of humongous structure.
Yeah, like a giant, almost like habitat kind of thing, like capable of supporting. I mean, I guess the ultimate goal is to try and take as many people as you possibly can. You don't want to have to leave people to die. So, like, that is the ultimate goal. Whether that's ever going to be possible, I don't know. Like, billions upon billions of people.
10, 20,
however many is going to be.
100,000 years. The human population it's increasing, but it will tail off at some point.
Yeah, probably. It will. But if we've expanded into the solar system, the population, who knows what population.
Well, this is the thing. It depends. Again, we've got those two scenarios. So we've got a very long lead time, but it's only going to destroy Earth. Then we obviously just move everyone to Mars.
And scatter throughout the solar system.
And scatter wherever we can. But in the scenario where it's going to destroy the whole solar system, then we have to think seriously about creating like a giant orbital habitat that orbits something or
even is capable of traveling. Itself.
A long way away.
And it just essentially becomes our home. For however long it takes to get to wherever we're going.
Yeah.
And you could possibly even, with that amount of time, you could possibly even build a fleet of these things.
Yeah.
Each one with like a 10 million people. That's a ridiculous number. I'm thinking of a huge thing. What I'm imagining is like a cylindrical habitat.
Yeah.
The inner surface of which is like, I don't know, like just a normal, like, forests and lakes. I don't know.
Again, I'm thinking
all science fiction.
Mass Effect Citadel with this like big arms that like rotate.
Okay.
And they've got like different like habitats. It's like a big circle kind of.
Yeah, but that kind of thing. That's the way of maximizing like your area to take in most people and having essentially like you've got artificial gravity and everything. And it just becomes like a bit of a home.
And you'd have to construct that with, what we were talking about last week, some of the like space elevator things, kind of getting all this stuff up. You'd have to build like whole systems, new systems in order to start getting the stuff in orbit.
Yeah. But with that amount of time, obviously technology is going to continue to develop massively. We're going to be pushing more and more resources into doing it because we know that brick wall is coming. Yeah. So it's going to be, if not like the most significant focus now, it will become more and more like the thing that everyone's working on.
If we're constructing something that massive in like Earth's orbit, we're gonna have to like clear out like the whole of the orbital debris in that like part. It's gonna spend ages kind of like preparing space to begin construction of something so large.
Yeah, you might not even do it in Earth's orbit. You might do it in like the Lagrange point of the Earth and the Sun. So it's like trailing behind the Earth somewhere. And use like the asteroid belt as your like raw materials of like building these giant things.
Or around the moon or something like that.
Yeah. Just gradually start ferrying people to them.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's a really crazy thing. You'd also have a lot more time to pick a destination as well. Yeah. So we were talking about like using like the Jimmy Webb or something to try and find an exoplanet, or even just like existing Kepler data if it was a short-term thing. But with this, we would be able to with that, you'd just be picking the best of a bad scenario. You'd be like, oh, okay, that planet looks like the most like Earth, even though it doesn't look anything like Earth. Let's go there. But with this, like we potentially have enough time to really scour the Milky Way, or at least our local area, and find something that is a very good candidate.
Yeah, exactly. You'd spend a long time and a lot of resources trying to find what is the potential, best scenario we have.
Yeah, you might even find the planet with life on.
Yeah, that has like a really obvious like red edge, like
exactly.
Kind of...
Like, okay, there's oxygen in the atmosphere there. Like that planet has a biosphere. We might even be able to breathe the air. This is a ridiculous thing. But then,
is that a bad idea though?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, what if we've detected like an alien civilization?
Yeah.
Not just a biosphere, but like a civilization.
Like a signal coming from a galaxy or something.
Because with 100,000 years. That's just a much bigger time of a sampling time. So, like, statistically, we're more likely to have come across something, whether it's just like detecting an Earth-like planet or even detecting in a civilization.
Yeah. And then those are the scenarios that it's like, is that a good idea to try and turn up and be like a refugee kind of?
Yeah.
Like we'd be like in District 9. Where they come and they've got like a battered old ship.
Yeah. We would be the prawns. Which didn't work out too well for them, but at least they survived. At least they were alive.
Yeah.
Could have been worse for them, possibly.
But
so if you get a signal, maybe that is the best place to aim for. At least in terms of it's a habitable planet.
You just got to hope that whoever's there.
Well, there's only habitable. You don't. It's tricky because you might find that you get a signal and you look at the planet in more detail and it's not very habitable for us. So maybe we wouldn't head for it.
Possibly. It depends how much information you've got that's been conveyed to you by these signals.
Yeah.
So if you've got like a particular like race that you think is based on like similar biology or whatever, then you might aim for that. If it sounds like they breed like sulfur and all these kinds of things, then you might be like, that's not the best place to go to.
They still might have resources.
But they might have energy and stuff
able
that
to
can
help you. Yeah.
If you could communicate like a distress signal, but they might obviously there's like they might be suspicious of that.
They might think of you as like an invading force or something.
Yeah.
And even if we're not, and we might be, and we'll talk about that later. But even if we're not, and we're just there like, oh, help us, they might be like just super defensive and not want us anywhere near them.
It probably might. I mean, we're putting obviously like a human kind of society kind of view on this. So no idea what we'll be coming across, but a bit like this kind of refugee thing that's happening now. Some people are like well up for letting lots of people in. Some people are, very much against it. Perhaps you'd have both.
I wonder what would happen if you have, so you're building this fleet of all these things and you've detected a civilization and you know that planet is likely habitable.
Yeah.
But you've also made a detection of an Earth-like planet that you also think is very likely habitable, but there's no evidence for civilization. Which one would you pick? Which one would you go for?
Depends if you've been able to communicate with them and it's friendly and it feels like it's a good idea to try that, then you go.
Yeah, but let's say you haven't. Let's say the time it would take to communicate is too long, and you need to make that decision. Do you go? Is it a safer bet to go for the planet where there's no civilization? What possibly is.
There's a time dilation thing again. If it's depending on how far away the two are.
Yeah.
If we consider them equal distance, and it's going to take, I don't know, 1,000 years to get there or something. Obviously, we don't know what like state that civilization is going to be in when we get there.
Yeah, sure.
And we don't know what state that planet's going to be in when we get there. So it's a risk either way.
Yeah.
Part of I don't know. I don't know.
No, I don't know.
It does depend.
I feel like if you haven't been able to communicate, it's just too much of a risk to head directly towards an unknown civilization.
Yeah, maybe it's better to go for like a blank canvas kind of thing.
Still know they're there, so that's cool. We still have contact. We can send a message or something.
Yeah,
maybe.
asking them, like saying like we're in distress or whatever. Please help us. And
but if we start on our journey there, and then it's like shit, in 1,000 years or whatever, we're just going to turn up on their doorstep.
And then they go, no.
Yeah, get out.
Yeah,
that might not be the best idea.
No,
but
it might not be. So, like in the very far future, if you have things like AIs and whatnot, you might your technology curve might be so different that you don't worry about kind of moving anyone. You just let the AI decide. You just kind of
that's
it's
true.
not a problem. In fact, you might get to a point with like singularity stuff where you don't. There's like an existential risk, but you don't even know about it. Yeah. Like you just sort of like in a virtual world, just living up your life,
absolutely,
and the AI is just
everything.
like, I'll sort it out. And it just sort of
just like moves
things.
deflects that neutron star,
or
even just moves the human race without them even knowing they've been moved. I mean, it gets a little bit silly and hard to imagine exactly what's going to happen, but I mean, in the very very far future, even 100,000 years is a hell of a long time.
I mean, can you imagine 100,000 years? Think how much things change in like 50 years.
The concept of like disasters that like can damage planets and things like that being a threat to us in 100,000 years might just be laughable.
Yeah,
might just be like, why were we ever worried about that?
Yeah.
Like, it's fine.
Yeah, who knows?
We just restructure the solar system, build something. I don't know. Who knows? It could be crazy. But say the singularity hasn't happened, or if it has, like it's not quite as impactful as possibly we think it might be. Maybe it's an idea as well as like building a fleet of these giant stations to send giant like habitat ships to send humans out. You'd also kind of start sending AI craft everywhere. So you aim for your planet that you think is a good idea to aim for, but you also kind of scatter probes throughout the galaxy, and they gradually start exploring, and they could be these people talk about these like self-replicating probes that arrive in a system and then build another copy themselves and send them off in two different directions, and you just do that every time, and you gradually start building out like a map of the galaxy bit by bit. So even if you arrive at your system with all your humanity, like thousands, millions of people, and find that it's shit, then you've got possible other options.
This party's dead.
Yeah, you're kind of like building up that map in the same way you do in like a strategy game when you first start and you start kind of like blocking out the map.
Yeah.
Your probes are sort of doing that for you as your arcs, for want of a better word, are like traveling across the galaxy. Yeah,
possibly. Although, again, it depends on how we're assuming. I guess at this point that you've got your arc is like self-preserving, like it's.
Yeah, well, I think with this kind of amount of time, we would be essentially making. It's not really a ship we're building. It's almost like a home, like a. It's like an artificial planet almost. Yes, I mean, I don't literally mean like a sphere, but something that we could live on.
Death Star.
Oh yeah.
In that period of time, the AI could build a Death Star and then just like destroy the neutron star or whatever.
Definitely,
I don't know.
Definitely build a Death Star.
But yes, we could build like a planet-sized kind of not planet-sized.
Not planet-sized. Sorry, I didn't really mean like an artificial planet in that sense, but just like what I'm imagining is like a
self-contained,
totally like self-contained habitat that's absolutely huge, and possibly has even like landscape and stuff in it.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
like
so
multiple
big.
city-sized kind of. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
big thing.
Big enough to have civilization contained in it.
Yeah.
I wonder if you did have a fleet of these things, and they're all traveling to the same place, but they're obviously be separated by space. Whether each of them kind of develop their own little cultures and stuff.
Probably.
And
if you didn't have much, you'd have
surely you'd have transfer between them. Yeah.
There'd probably be like real efforts and like dedicated things to make sure that they don't try and split off in certain ways or become like rogue or decide on this.
Just become rogue. One of them's like, oh, we're not going to follow you guys. We're going to go to this other place.
Yeah, there's like there's not a consensus on where you're going anymore.
Yeah.
And so this kind of fleet begins to split off and people are taking their own kind of like ideas and views about it.
And then humanity sort of seeded itself into multiple new locations, which is a weird thought. Cool thought.
Yeah.
And you could end up quite disconnected, as in could be so far away from each other eventually that these like the ultimate kind of end goals of these ships could end up so far away from each other that communication is like not really feasible and stuff, and it's just would just become totally different civilizations.
Yeah. Who knows?
I know.
Yeah, that's when you think about the far future stuff. It is just like totally.
I know. Yeah, it does start to become quite difficult to rein in your kind of imagination.
Yeah.
But there's lots of possible directions.